Alright, this topic's called factoring a trinomial, or factoring a trinomials, apparently, with leading coefficient of 1. And that's just a fancy way of saying that we basically have a quadratic expression, and we need to turn it into, let me just put it this way. Hopefully you've already done multiplying binomials, where you have something like this, x plus 3, x plus 1. I did a video on that, so you can go back and look at it. And we end up with x squared plus 4x plus 3. You can go back and look at that video to find out how. What we're doing now is we're starting from this, and they call it factoring, and we break it into something with 2 parentheses. Just a little word of caution, if you just made up one of these quadratic expressions and wrote it down on a piece of paper, chances are that you're not going to be able to factor it. There's only specific ones that can be factored. Generally, though, if you're told to factor a trinomial, it can be factored, so don't give up on it. Alright, so let's try one of these, and I'll just go through the steps as we go through the problem. So let's start with x squared plus 8x plus 15. The title to this, factoring a trinomial with leading coefficient. They're just saying that the number in front of the x squared is 1. Obviously we don't always write it, but it's there. It's invisible. We don't have to write it. So this x squared term just has a coefficient, or the number in front of it is 1. There will be another video, which actually is a little bit more concrete on factoring a trinomial when we don't have a 1 there. But you have to know how to do this first. Okay, always start with your constant. So write this in your notes. Which one's your constant? That's your C value, also known as just the plain old number. So in this case we have 15, and write down its factors. What does that mean? What times what gives us 15? So in this case we have, let's see, 15 and 1, and 3 and 5, because 15 times 1 gives us 15, and 3 times 5 gives us 15. There's nothing else. We only want integers. We don't want like 7.5 times 2. That's not okay. So we start with that. The next step that we look at is our middle term. We haven't paid any attention to that. That's a positive 8x. So we have to, out of the 2 factors that we have, which ones add to give us 8? And I know that I'm adding the factors together because of this plus sign. So I'm going to add to give 8. Well, 15 plus 1 doesn't give us 8, so that doesn't help. 3 plus 5 gives us 8. So what does that tell us? It means that we need to make our 2 parentheses. We put an x and an x because the only way to get the x squared is to have an x in the front of each equation, or each parentheses. And then we put the 3 and we put the 5. The 8x is positive, so we need both of these to be positive. If the 8x had been negative, both of those would have had to been negative. Negative 5 plus negative 3 gives you negative 8. One thing I like to do just to check a little bit of your answer is I say check your inners and your outers. These are your inner terms. What happens when you multiply them? You get 5x. These are your outer terms. What happens when you multiply them? X times 3 gives you 3x. So if you add them together, 3x plus 5x gives you your 8x, and that's what we were looking for. So you know that you did that part of the equation okay. It's kind of checking your inners and outers, checking your belly buttons. If you want to think of them as innies and outies, that's fine too. Alright, let's do another one. This is the type of thing, honestly, that you just need to practice and work through it. There's a little bit of guess and check, but it's not horrendously hard or obscure. It's just a matter of kind of thinking through it. Okay, let's start a second one. Get that out of the way. Alright, let's try x squared plus 7x plus 10. Again, where do we start? We want to start with 10. What gives us 10? We have 10 and 1, and we have 5 and 2. This sign here is going to tell us to add these. We're going to add which of those pairs adds to give us 7. Does 10 plus 1 give us 7? No. Does 5 plus 2 give us 7? Beautiful. So what do? We set up our parentheses. First term in each parentheses has to be an x to give us our x squared. We now know that these are the 2 numbers that go in the parentheses. And then we have to look at our 7x. It's a positive 7x, so these guys both have to be positive. Check our innies, 2x, and our outies. When we add them together, we get 7x positive. Beautiful. So that's your factored form. Let's try another one. Try it in here. Let's try, I think I'll just try another kind of straightforward one. How about x squared plus 12x plus 20? Alright, 20 has a little bit more factors. We have 20 and 1, we have 2 and 10, and we have 4 and 5. This sign here says we need to add them, and we need them to add to give us 12. 20 plus 1, no. 2 plus 10, perfect. And just to double check, 4 plus 5, no. Again, set up your parentheses with x's. We know we have a 2, we know we have a 10, and we need it to be a 12x, so we're going to add these guys, and that is your factored form. Quick little CYA, check your innies and outies. 2x, that gives us our 12x, beautiful. Alright, let's throw in just a little bit of a curveball here. Give us some room to write. Now let's say that we have, let's do x squared minus 5x minus 24. We don't start any differently. We start exactly the way that we did. What times what gives us 24? Well, we have 24 and 1, 2 and 12, 3 times 8, and 6 times 4. That's it. That's a lot of factors. Okay, this time we don't have a plus sign. We have a subtraction sign. So this time we need to look at the factors we wrote down and see which ones subtract to give us 5. 24 minus 1? No. 12 minus 2? No. 8 minus 3? Bingo! And just to double check, 6 minus 4? No. Same deal. Set up your parentheses. What numbers did we say? We said 8 and 3. Same as before, we look at this 5x as negative. So how do we combine the 8 and 3 so that we get a negative 5? Well, if we have a negative 8 and a positive 3, we'll get that negative 5. Let's double check. Innies, 3 times x. Outies, negative 8 times x. And when we combine them, we get our negative 5x. Beautiful. So there's your factored form. So it's the same process, just paying attention to the signs is really the key. Let's do another one. Alright, I think I'll just scoot it up. Let us do, how about x squared, I'm going to do minus, what's a good number that has, let's do 48, because that has a lot of factors. So x squared minus 8x minus 48. Alright, you ready? We got 48 and 1, 2 and 24, 3 and, what is it? I know what it is. Do you know what it is? 3 goes into it 16 times. 4 and 12. 5 doesn't go in. 6 doesn't go. Oh, 6 does. 6 and 8. And 7 doesn't. Again, this is telling us to subtract our factors to give us 8. 48 minus 1. Nope. 24 minus 2. 16 minus 3. No way. There we go. 12 take away 4. Because 8 minus 6 doesn't give us 8. So we set up our parentheses. What did we choose? We put 12. You could put the 4 there. I just put the 12. Doesn't matter which goes in which. What does matter is what sign you're going to have. Our 8x is negative. So that means that our 12 needs to be negative and our 4 needs to be positive so that we end up with a negative 8x. Double check your inners. Positive 4x, negative 12x. Indeed, when we combine them, we get negative 8x. Beautiful. There you go. All right, I'm going to put a couple of them down. If you want to try copying them down in your notes, then hitting pause, solving them out or factoring them out, and then coming back and taking a look. See if we get the same answer. That's cool. I think I'll try 3 of them. So let's try x squared plus 2x minus 24. Another one will be x squared plus 7x plus 12. And then x squared, let's do a minus sign here. Minus 3x minus 28. So why don't you copy those down, hit the pause button, and then when you're done, come back and take a look and see if we have the same answers. You want to start all of these the same way we've been doing it. For the first one, we're going to write down what times 24. So we have 24 and 1, 12 and 2, 3 and 8, and 6 and 4. Which ones are going to subtract, because of this, to give us 2? No, 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 and there we go. So we rewrite it, x, 4, 6, and now I need it to be a positive 2. So my bigger number needs to be positive, and my smaller number needs to be negative. Let's double check. 6x, and then negative 4x, and that will give me my positive 2. Beautiful. Alright, the middle problem, 12. We have 12 and 1, 6 and 2, and 3 and 4. Which ones are going to add to give us 7? That's easy. I like this one. We got a 3 and a 4, and they need to give us a positive 7, so these guys are both going to be positive. I like that one. And the last one, let's see, 28 times 1, 2 and 14, 4 and 7. That's it, right? Okay, which one of these guys subtracts to give us 3? New, bingo. So we set up our x's in our parentheses. 7 and 4, and we need it to be a negative 3. So to make it come out to be a negative 3, we need the 7 to be negative, the larger number, and the 4 to be positive. And outers are 4x. When we add those, we get negative 3x. Beautiful. So I hope you got those 3 answers. I hope you understood this. If you can master this, I can't even tell you how much factoring can make your life easier. We're going to look at it again when we learn to solve quadratic equations. We use factoring, and it's so quick as compared to some other methods to get the solutions for quadratic equations. And also for the next video I'm just about to make, which is factoring a trinomial with a coefficient, a leading coefficient not equal to 1. If you got this one down pat, that will just be like, it'll be cake. Just like fly right through it. So if you have any questions, come find me. Thanks.